Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I come to you with news. I may have already shared some of it with some of you. If you haven't heard, Evolution is no longer on Amazon, and it's no longer available per purchase. It will be again shortly. Reason being is I have been approached by and signed with a new company called Mad Raptor Productions. They are my publisher. They're going to be taking care of Evolution and The Blood Witch and any other work of mine that they see fit to publish, which would probably hopefully be all of it. So you will see Evolution again in the coming year, and it will also include some fan art. So it'll be different from the original. The original is now a collector, but the new one will have its own little special tags as well, just for Mad Raptor. Alright, let's go ahead and get into the Ulgansah Witches Chapter 10, which is why you are here. This one is called Unions. Here we go. After 3 more days of tedious and sorrow-filled travel, Braid, her company of soldiers and refugees, finally reached the city of Cyrodiil. Over the course of the 5-day trek, there had been a total of 78 deaths. The very old were all gone, and many of the wounded. The group was hungry, wet, and chilled, but upon seeing the flags of Trodair and Ag flying over the walls, each found a bit more strength and a bit more speed to their steps. Braid saw soldiers returning from the far-off forest to the east. With what she could only guess at such a distance, wagons and military equipment. Somewhere within the woods, there had been a battle, and the soldiers of Ag were returning with plunder from their defeated enemies. Several wagons of food, a few of weapons, and several women who looked to have been freed from bondage were brought out of the forest and into open view. Appearances from her vantage were depescient of a good day for Cyrodiil, and she later discovered it was just so. At nearly 100 yards from the wall, the southern gates opened, and 3 riders came out with haste to meet the weary refugees. Braid readily recognized her brother Holland as their lead rider. He was the second oldest of Vin and Daphne, Braid being the more senior. These two were very close, and very happy to see each other safe and well. "Braid, my sister, you look terrible. Food and water are coming. What else do you need?" Holland left his horse to embrace his sister. "Why are you here? I thought you and the others went hunting. And by all means, find shelter and medics for these refugees of Edinburgh. They're all that remain," Braid replied through the sincere embrace of a reunion. "Senton is already attacked. Well, they actually didn't get the chance. Our little brother, Giffy, sent a welcome for them in the forest. Not one of them survived, and we only lost 2. Truth has revealed itself. Giffy and the friends of his have been studying war under a master from the land of the Kelly. Giffy's not as foolhardy as we thought." Braid pulled her head back on her neck to get a more serious look at Holland's face. She saw the truth of it. Giffy has surprised everyone. Truly. Giffy. Is that why he's so strong? He's a layabout, not a warrior. That's what we all thought. But he and his rabble took out nearly 6,000 on their own. Just 54 men, for most of the fight, had done the work. Uncle is seriously thinking about establishing a higher military group under their leadership. Braid shook her head in astonishment. "Well, for the moment, I have more urgent needs for these people. We can talk about our brother a little later. The lead wagon have our sickest. Let's get them attended to." The refugees from Edinburgh were welcomed and quickly given aid. Though Edinburgh was once part of Knowles, they were skilled farmers and had fed most of their known kingdom, as well as a good portion of Ag. These people had valuable skills and farming techniques that no one wanted lost, so the people of Cyrodiil shared what they could in order to bring some form of comfort to these once prosperous people. Holland led Braid to the northeastern walls, where his brothers and cousins had gathered in the military barracks. As she walked through Cyrodiil, its people showed no sign of meager means or want. All seemed to be in a commotion like any other day from her memory of visiting in days past, although the energy was over the recent victory. It was an illusion that would soon pass as the summer fruits and grains became used up and the storehouses became emptied without fall harvest. She knew that rationing needed to be implemented soon, or the winter hunger would be far too great for this grand city of Ag to survive. Finally, the barracks came into view. The building was constructed only 5 yards from the outer city walls. It had reinforced and double-thick block walls on the outer-facing side. At regular intervals on the second story, catwalks were placed so that soldiers could quickly take up defensive positions all along the northeastern wall. The gap between the outer wall and the actual barracks was a munitions and horseway passage, but also served as a bottleneck for enemy soldiers if they had penetrated past the outer defenses. It had been a formidable structure in the past, but peacetime brought it to insufficiency. Ag soldiers and several masons were busily repairing and restoring it back to its former strength when Braid and Holland arrived. The inner structure of the barracks was large enough to house 10,000 soldiers and their supplies. At present, it only contained 1,000. Deep in the center was where Holland took Braid to meet up with her cousins and brothers and her uncle, Prince Kai. Standing around a large relief map carved into a 5-foot radius oak tree stump, Holland and Braid found their family and a handful of other military officials. One, who Braid recognized as one of Giffey's ruffian friends, was also present. He had the round face and slightly narrowed eyes that was common with a mixed-race Kelly. "Gentlemen," Holland called out to announce their arrival. After a moment of greeting Braid, the room fell silent as Kai continued their assessment of the battle while using the relief map to indicate troop and asset locations. The relief map was detailed as to how the city and surroundings looked 80 years past, but was still reliable enough for warfare and tactical calculations. Braid, upon seeing a few flaws in Kai's assessments, interjected. "Ebbenburg has been leveled. Your numbers are wrong. The force that destroyed Ebbenburg was entirely made up of mercenaries, from where I don't know. On my walk here, the refugees informed me of this fact. Not a single army regular from Dundrif or Senton was among those who raised the farmland. That would mean that your numbers are much too low. My estimates would put the total combined forces of our enemy at closer to 50,000. The 6,000 that you destroyed last night were a test. More will be coming, unless the attack was a diversion. I'm sure of this." Timothy, the oldest of Kai, stood with his arms akimbo while listening to Braid's report. When she concluded, he had already devised a partial strategy. "Giffey, can your men retake what is left of the Knowles capital?" Kai and most of the others stood by without a word. Timothy had proven to be an intelligent man on many expeditions and skirmishes, leaving the people in the room waiting for his idea to unfold. Giffey was not one of them. "We can work amazing feats and brilliant acts of chivalry, as well as love-making." The room had a second of loud laughter by all except Braid. "But taking a ruined city that has no value seems like nonsense to me. My men would be better used at taking down spies or heading off supplies from Dundrif. I imagine some large supplies of fruit and winter stores will be headed to Senton now that Knowles and its farmlands no longer supply the continent. We can take that food and ship it across Ag." Giffey had gotten serious with the last of his words. "Hear your cousin out, Giffey," continued Timothy. Kai remained cool-headed, but also understood that Giffey's idea was not without solid merit. "I want to get back to that idea, Giffey, but Knowles is the unexpected place to be. Right now, many of Senton's engineers and architects are there dismantling and removing the masonry. Those people should be brought to Ag. Knowing the cruelty of King Vanders, they may be willing to switch sides. It would help us in a wide range of ways. Also, it would put your men in striking range of any Dundrif shipments. We would get those supplies, the Masons of Senton, and weaken their armies all at once. Can your men handle that?" Giffey thought for a moment. Following a few strokes of his chin and a couple of nods to his own thoughts, he looked at Winston. Winston returned a nod in affirmative. "We'll get it done, Timothy." Kai then spoke. "Good. Take what men you have, plus those that you can train to your higher way of combat, and leave as soon as possible. Now we urgently need to know where those forces of Senton are. Anyone have any thoughts of where to send our defenses and spies?" Kai's son Colin, who had often been considered the most intelligent of the whole family, then took his voice to the center. "If Ebbeberg has shown us anything, King Vanders wants us hungry. If that is the case, then I would expect Cyrodiil is not his priority, but Dawson would be. We should send whatever forces we can to support them. That would include the mercenaries that General Braxton will be bringing from Onslow. If they can cut us off from both sources of food, then Senton would only need to wait us out. It's a siege campaign, I'm fairly certain of it." Braid then spoke again. "I have one more bit of news to offer. Ploto is on the field. He spoke with me on our journey here. It was brief. He didn't kill anyone or do anything rash. In fact, he just seemed to want to warn me. He could have easily killed me, but chose to feed me and the refugees instead. He also said that things were not as they appear. He said that there were many lies about. I know we shouldn't trust him, but he seemed to speak the truth. I feel that we need to have our eyes open widely and our ears more keen to the quiet sounds, or we might miss something vital. If Ploto was playing at a deception or spoke truth, both suggest the same for us. We need to be cautious." "Indeed we do. Timothy, get your plan into motion. Also do as Colin has suggested. We need intelligence, food for winter, and manpower. It's up to you for now. I need to return to Webben and redirect Braxton's forces when they arrive. We set out tomorrow. Rest up your forces. I have a feeling that it might be some time before we get the chance again." Kai then dismissed the retinue. End of chapter 10.